Tommy's gonna taste the gin so that you don't have to. Let you save your money, yeah, that's what Tommy wants. Minimal dilution, cause we wanna taste the gins. But if the gins are bad, then we will throw them in the bin. Now let's hand it over to Tommy, who is gonna taste. He's gonna get all rowdy and shout up the place.
Hey up you non-believing gin lovers, and welcome back to Tommy Tastes, the channel where I'm tasting the gin so that you don't have to. Let's taste!
Stick out your tongue, gins wanna have fun.
In a continued effort to try things that are as different as possible, what we will be trying is the Copperhead Gibson edition. What a fancy bottle this is, this kind of mirrored green effect that they've got here. Supposedly mirroring the tiles that were on the Gibson bar, which was the influence for this gin. Gibson bar in London. We're not going to go into that too much because it's really f***ing dull, and I hate talking about bartending because it's one of the most boring jobs in the world. I've been there and it's just a bit wank, to be honest. First of all, it's a Belgian gin. This edition of Copperhead has been on the market, I believe, for about 3 or 4 years now. And what it's really done is improved, at least in my opinion, on the Copperhead recipe, which is only 5 botanicals. As we learnt from the Brick Gin review, less is not necessarily more when it comes to botanicals. I don't believe that you need to have 20 plus botanicals to make a fantastic gin, but I do believe that you probably need more than 3 or so. The original Copperhead gin has a mere 5 botanicals, so the things that you would traditionally expect, but it does make for what I can only describe as not the world's most interesting gin. It's not to say it's a bad gin, it's just not great. So this takes those original 5 Copperhead botanicals and it adds an additional 14 botanicals, which are normally used for pickling. Gibson, to go back to the name here, is kind of a challenge that was created, and you might be familiar with the cocktail, but it was an effort to improve upon the martini. Martini, traditionally garnished with an olive. As far as I'm aware, the only difference with a Gibson is that you're garnishing with a pickled silver skin onion, which makes for a slightly more interesting pickled savoury experience. So the botanicals that are going into this are those kind of traditional pickling spices, things like mace, pepper. Then you've got different kinds of seeds, so fennel seeds and celery seeds, dill seeds. Celery seeds I have come across in another gin, Durham gin, and don't know if it's just me here, but I really f***ing hate celery. So there was nothing that really drew me into that gin. I've not tried this before, so I'll be interested to see if I am put off by that note of celery. But if you like celery, maybe this gin is 100% for you. There is actually no onions put into the distillate itself. So any kind of aromas that may be there from olives are just part of like the aromatic expression. And yeah, there's no onions, possibly because they're just too f***ing strong.
Yeah, it's me, bitch, strong onion. You wanna know how much I can bench? I bench you, bitch!
And yet another cool thing to point out is the fact that it's not a dry gin because there is a dash of 8-year-old Geneva added to give this kind of a little bit more sweetness and a kind of another roundness and complexity. It's kind of like a juniper schnapps in its most simple form. Can't say much more about it. I've tried a few, they're pretty good, but I think you probably have to live in the Netherlands to have a better perception of what Geneva is than that. Let's taste!
Ah ouais, j'adore la gin.
There is my Gibson edition gin in the glass. I think you might be able to see that there is a slight discolouring on the gin there. Whether that's from the Geneva, I'm guessing it probably is, because I think most of them do come out this kind of slightly beigey brown colour. Let's get our nose in there and have a good whiff.
You know what? If it smells like a gin, then it's more than likely a gin.
I love the smell of this gin. It really does smell like I've opened a jar of pickles. More what I'm getting is not so much the pickled onion aroma as I am more of a pickled gherkin aroma. And it has got that kind of great dill spice, there's pepper, almost like this kind of chili thing, but it smells really savoury. But at the core, you can feel this kind of zesty orange and like spicy, woody, junipery note, and I love that. One thing that does worry me about this gin when we come round to tasting it now is the fact that it is only 40%.
And if it tastes like a gin, then, I mean, I guess it should be a gin.
Neat. Wow. That's a really complex, savoury gin. It's truly amazing the level of spice and complexity that I'm getting. I get a really long kind of mace and juniper finish, and then at the forefront, you do get the celery. And now I'm getting the celery on the finish, which is the one thing that I don't particularly like about this gin. But it doesn't distract from all of the other aromas and all of the other flavours that I'm really, really enjoying. It's really interesting, savoury take on gin. And I'm really excited to see what it's like when I get some ice in there and dilute it. Ice in the glass, no discoloration there. So obviously they're chill filtering their gin. I think I'd quite like one without the chill filtration. I think it might be even more spicy and have just a bit more texture. I mean, it's incredibly smooth, which I hate that term smooth because gin or spirits general should be smooth, but I'd like this to have a little bit more bite like the savoury note suggests. Anyway, let's taste that with some ice and see what we're working with.
Other Belgian gins may include Smurf gin.
It is truly incredible just how much the ice has changed that gin there. It is so much more spicy, and all of the kind of individual things that I could pick out have really come together and made this harmonious gin. It is really, really good. Just how everything, like when you're making food from a recipe, how all of the flavours kind of combine to make something else. That's exactly what this gin is doing. It is like this savoury meal, like a sandwich or something that I'm getting drunk on. Who doesn't want to get drunk on a sandwich? This is f***ing awesome. Let's dilute it with some water and just see if that carries through. But first things first, I'm going to put a bit more gin in there. I kind of topped it up to about 2 cl there, and I've done about a 1 to, I'm going to say 0.7. That's being really pedantic and nerdy, but hey, why not?
Bois le gin, boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's much more smooth, much more kind of relaxed and easygoing now. But you get those lovely kind of notes just cutting through still. And one of the things that does upset me is that the celery's become more apparent. Devil's shitweed celery. It's really not distracting from the fact that this is great. And the 40% doesn't matter. It cuts through so well. But make one with more booze in it. Come on, Copperhead. For fucking dorks like me who love just testing themselves on how much booze that they can drink or find in a gin, that would just be paradise. Yes, please.
L'heure des conclusions.
This is a gin that is just kind of like no other. I know I might say that a lot, but I don't think I've ever had a gin that is this savoury, yet true to what gin is. It has that lovely juniper that cuts through everything, coriander's there, the citrus from the orange is there, so it feels sweet and savoury all at the same time. It is really, really good. Another thing to add is the price point. So obviously you've got a 0.5 litre bottle here. It's around £35 to £40 per bottle. So it is pretty expensive. And I've often said, is it worth paying more than £35 for a bottle of gin? And when I've referred to £35 for a bottle of gin, I have referred to like a full-size 0.7 litre one. In this case, yes, buy this gin. It is fucking awesome. And it's so unique. That's why it's worth spending that money to go over the top and get this. It could charge you a premium product price. When we think of the premium products that we've tried, so something like Ferdinand Saar, Gold Top, whatever, that was something that should have been unique and should have been a flavour sensation like no other. But it was just cack. This is a flavour sensation that's like no other, and it's fantastic. It is true to gin, and it's just all round good. I can't find many more words to say than good. So just buy it and taste it, okay? It's worth tasting. Copperhead Gibson Gin Edition. Taste it now and buy it. Don't put it in a cocktail, it's good enough. That's next Christmas's single. Peace out!
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. What? Like and subscribe. What? Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like. What? Boom. Unnecessary bass.